All right, so okay, so good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, so welcome to the API 101 workshop, where I will kind of guide through you what is API in theory way, and also later on I will show you some hands-on that you can follow along as well. Okay. All right, so you don't want to just listen to some random guy wasting your. I think this workshop will takes around 1 hour, so wasting a 1 hour time. I'm Kayong, or you can call me Vandik. I'm a Postman student expert. I actually have multiple position, if you know, but yeah, today I'm a Postman student expert, and these are my socials. And take note on the Twitter, because later on when we wanted to go to the sweat claiming, you need to tag me so I will get notified. Okay. So take note on the Twitter, right? Okay. Right, so the agendas for the event today, introduction to APIs and also Postman, and later on, what is API? API basically is like more on the requirements of creating an API. You need to have a request and also response, and so trying things out is where we will hope on to the hands-on, and follow-up resource. I will share some resources and Q&A. Okay, all right. So what's an API? I know there's a lot of theory here. So basically how you can think about API is that interface. Interface is what user can see. For example, you have your laptop, your mobile, that's the interface. And what API does here is that he can kind of connect the stuff from the database to show you on the interface. So that is the thing that API is more focusing on. So I'll just show you some scenario. Okay, so this digital restaurant where you have the customer, the one with the specs, the customer, and the one in the middle is the waiter, and the one at the right side is the chef. So how does the restaurant work is that customer, he will order the food. Okay, he will order the food from the waiter, then the waiter will notify the chef to prepare the food. Then once it's done, the waiter will bring back the food to the customer, right? Yeah, so the relations is like this. Yeah. Okay, so how do I relate this scenario to API is the waiter itself, this person is actually the API, because as a customer, you are the one that is looking at the stuff that you want to get. So in this case, you are telling the waiter, hey, I want this food to be get cooked and get prepared for me. Then the waiter will bring that info to the chef will prepare it for you. Then once it's done, he'll pass back to the waiter and pass back to you. So this is how API actually works, and in more like technical illustration is like this. So the client, you are the one that looking at the interface. Okay, you will trigger the API, and the API will get something from the server and return back to you. Okay, so to give you some more technical idea here, like how just one of the scenario that API works. So you have, I guess most of us have Instagram. So if you use Instagram, you wanted to take a picture, right? So you take a picture, and then once you're done, like taking a picture, it will be redirecting you back to Instagram. Okay, right? Then Instagram itself, you wanted to upload it to your stories or upload it to your posts. So in this case, if you actually needed to trigger an API to call the server saying that, hey, these users wanted to upload a picture to his or her stories, and the server will get notified, and once that is done, the server will store the records, and through the API, he will return back to the user saying that, hey, your image is successfully uploaded. So this is basically how API works, and I will just show you like yeah, some examples of API. Basically everything is API. Like even every day you open your Google search or Bing search, everything is API. ChatGPT, yeah. And API is not only the web browser can see, and some of it is actually the JSON value that you can't you as an end user, you can't really know. Yeah. So these some examples of the API, Discord API. If you work with like Discord bot development before, you will know this. And so YouTube to MP3, Spotify API, Twitter API, and yeah, a lot more. Okay. So yeah, API turns software into Lego bricks, because without API, you can't actually trigger the browser, okay? Because you can assume that each of the URL is actually an API to you, okay? So when you trigger Google search, then like google.com, then he will return you with the Google page. This is actually triggering one of the API already. Yeah. So yeah. And yeah, what is Postman? Postman is collaborative API development platform. So what does this mean is that you can actually use Postman to create your API, to test the API that you created, or test the API that is out there, and you can actually see the result of it, and also what is the response, and whatever request that you wanted to do, you can actually use Postman. So you can treat Postman like a API IDE, I would say so. You can kind of relate to it when I show you the hands-on, and you guys can follow on as well. Okay, so there are some companies that are using Postman for their development. Okay, some big companies, and 98% of the Fortune 500 organizations is actually using Postman in whatever phase they are using for whatever software they are developing. And so 65% of the global 2000 organization is using it as well. So Postman is very helpful, and it's a great tool for you to learn eventually. Okay, so working APIs, and how do you actually trigger an API and try it? The the way that most of the developers go with is like, if you don't have the Postman application, like before you have the Postman application, you might know cur command line, because everything is in command line way back then. And how you can trigger is basically using cur. And nowadays you can actually use Postman, and you can see the user interface. It's not a command line interface anymore, so it's very user friendly, and yeah, it's very helpful too. Okay, so back to API and what is underneath it, right? So API can be splitted to request and response. So like the example I gave you just now, you go to google.com. So https double dot slash slash www.google.com is your request, and the response that returned back to you is the Google search page, right? So this is how it works. And okay, request response pattern. So this is just some illustration. So like what I mentioned just now, the request is a google.com. You will send to the Google maintain server, and then through the API that you call, the google.com, right? Then he will return back the whole Google search page to you. Yeah, so API is not something that is very hard to understand. It's just that I would say the development itself is slightly harder. And for Postman is, you can actually test your API there. So Postman is very helpful, and I also use it oftenly. Okay, so making requests. Okay, making requests, there are three ingredients, like three important things that you need to take note, which is the method. Okay, the method get, post, put, patch, delete. All of these are the methods that you can do. So just give, like, I just take the get and post here to explain it to you. So get request can get the stuff from the server. So for example, let's say you open ChatGPT, then you send, oh no, yeah, you open ChatGPT, so like I think it's openai.com or something. Then that is actually a get request, because you wanted to get the ChatGPT page on your browser. So this is the get request. And post request is when you are, okay, let's take ChatGPT as well. When you are sending a message, you wanted the ChatGPT AI to generate the text for you. So you actually needed to post your message up to the server, and the server will retrieve the message that you post. Like for example, you ask, how is the weather today? Then ChatGPT will return something in return. So that's basically the post request. Post, you need to submit something to it. Like for example, just now the example of the Instagram, when you are uploading your picture to your stories, right? That's actually a post request. Okay. Normally post request is more on creating a new records. Okay, I would say like that. Hopefully everyone is like still keeping in track. Okay, because everything here is still very theory. Okay, and then you need an address, an endpoint. So yeah, I guess I already give quite a lot of examples on the URL and stuff. And the path is like, okay, Instagram. Okay, let's say you open the Instagram on your web browser and you wanted to go to your home. So the path is basically instagram.com, and the path is the one like sliding behind. The slash home is going to Instagram home. And let's say you wanted to go to Instagram, you wanted to search for a specific user, then it will be something like slash with the user ID. So that's basically the path behind. Okay, all right. So this is just some examples, the request, methods, and endpoint. Yeah. So this is the method: get, post, put, patch, delete. So I just show you like how does it looks like. So if you want to follow along, you can do so, but it's not compulsory for this one because it's just something that I wanted to show. So like Google search. Okay. So I wanted to create a request, add request. Yeah, get request, and I want to go for Google search. Okay. So like the example we have here is targeting HTTPS Google www.google.com/search google.com/search. Okay, so I wanted to send my get request, right? I wanted to get the google.com page. So I just send here. Supposingly, okay, it will take a while. Yeah, this is the HTML that it returns. So normally how browser works is basically the server will return you with a bunch of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And why Postman is good here, you can actually see. You can see the raw if you don't want the formatting, you want the pretty, and you can see the preview as well. Okay. So it's very useful. It's not like how normally we use the cur, because if you just use the cur CURL, which I showed just now, you will only see the CLI. So you only see the text. You can't actually see the preview. So this is where Postman is more like, I would say it's better in a sense because you can see everything. And so let's say you can see what is the cookies that they are keeping in track, and also the headers that trigger, you can see the date I trigger it, and expires and all of these things. And also what Postman is good is that you can set the authorization token, because some of the page you actually needed to log in first. So if you are the developer, you can actually put the authorization and the key, headers, body. Yeah, this is getting more technical, but eventually this is how you create a get request in Postman. So normally how do I juggle with all of these things is that I will create a new collection, okay? Then I rename it, and then triple dot and add request. And so if let's say you want to group everything in one folder, you can add a folder. So it's pretty useful. And yeah, these are all of the options that is available for you to create the method: post, put, patch, delete, head options. Okay, so back to our slides. Okay, so yeah, this is basically the explanation. I explained get and post. And if you want to know more, it's actually, yeah, put, patch is for update information, and delete is for, yeah, delete informations. So yeah, breaking down on the address, right? The address, HTTPS is the protocol. So each of the URL actually have a protocol. HTTPS, if I'm not wrong, is some hypertext, something secure. Wait, let me just get the term, because I I don't do theory much actually. I'm more on technical side. So HTTPS, I just get, yeah. So hypertext transfer protocol secure. And also if you are a developer, you might know HTTP. Why HTTP is not good compared to HTTPS? Because HTTP is not secure. So sometimes when you actually browsing like HTTP URL, the browser will actually notify you, hey, this is not secure. So yeah, that's some of the protocol, and also there are like TCP protocol and much more. But all of these are, I guess, most of the time you will just touch HTTPS and HTTP unless you are doing networking stuff. So this is basically the protocol, okay? And then the host. So the host is the address of the server. Like for example here, www.google.com is the host. Like for example, you are going to our app space and it will be something like www.appspace.apu.edu or something, if I'm not wrong. So that is the host. And the behind here is the path that I mentioned just now. As you can see, yeah, the path. So the path is destination. Where I trigger here is that I'm going to google.com. I want to go to their search page. I don't want to go to other page. So this is basically the path that relies behind. Okay, so I hope that is clear for you what is a request and what is the methods, what is address means to be. Okay, so yeah, moving on to the next slides. Yeah, specifying details. I'm not sure, do you realize that when you actually Google search, they will, okay, let me just show you here. Okay, TCP protocol. Yeah, it's not changing my URL here somehow. Wait. Okay, let me just show this. Yeah, you can see here, if we break down from what I explained just now, this is the protocol, right? And this is our host. And this is our path. Then what is the question mark behind here? So this is where API comes into place, where the address is being more fun because you can actually play with it. So that is actually a parameter. Where is the query? For example, here, the query here is saying that, hey, going to this keyword of this, and the event is your event. Okay, I will show you the Google search example later on so you can get more clear ideas. And the authorization key that I mentioned just now, if this specific URL requires a API key or it requires the user to log in, you can actually set it in the authorization. And so headers and body, which I kind of showed just now. Okay, so request, yeah. So when you trigger a request, you will get a body, where here, the body is basically the content of the return result. So this is the body, the HTML, the whole HTML. Okay, and the data types. Okay, so the data types here, it can be a form data. Yeah, here. Okay. Oh yeah, let me just show this. Okay, you can see here, the request here, they have a body, and the result here, they have a body as well. So normally URL, when you trigger it, it will be in HTML. And let's say it's an API, most likely it will be a JSON or a semi-structured XML, or it's a text. Okay, so this is the return result body. And another important body that we wanted to know here is that the body that you wanted to attach to your request. Okay, so how does body works? Okay, so sometimes, let's say you are filling up a form, you actually needed to place your name, your password, because the API, like the URL itself, it doesn't know that what is the value of your name password. So what you can do here is you can actually edit here. So for example, this API requires me to put a name. Okay, then I can put like, it's my name. Yeah, so this is basically the body of your request, where most of the time you will use it for post request because you wanted to post some text or post some files. You can see here, you can change the files, right, to the specific URL. Or when you wanted to update the information, you actually needed to provide it. So this is where the body of the request comes into place. Okay, all right. Yeah, this is a JSON structure. So JSON structure, you can put raw, then you click on JSON. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Okay, it's very important stuff to know. Okay, then yeah, receiving response. Okay, so the response here is like status code when you actually trigger API. Is it okay? Is the result returning to you, or is there any internal server error? So this is something that a web developer actually needed to know, but it's not included in school syllabus, I guess. Yeah. So okay, the status code, the headers, and so accessing body data. So where is it? The status code is actually here. You can see when I trigger the google.com, it's returning a status 200 saying that, hey, this restaurant is good to go, it's successful, okay? And then you can even see the time and the size of the data that returned to you. And also, let's see, yeah, the headers here. You can see the headers that is triggered when you actually call this, because sometimes you might need to check your cache. Is there anything that I wanted to get, or the cookie of your browser, of these things, okay? And then, yeah, accessing the body data. Yeah, this is the follow along. Okay, so before that, I wanted to show you, I hope that it is still working. So normally when you actually find for something in google.com, so it's basically attaching a queue. Queue here is actually the query. And let's say I wanted to find for Postman. I don't need this. Yeah. So let me try to send, because I wanted to get Postman, and let's see the body. Preview. Oh, please skip here if you're not redirected. Here. Yeah, I guess it updated. Because this is the google.com that is working last time, but nowadays I think they needed you to set some key in the headers to make sure that you are using a browser, you are a person that's using it. So yeah, anyways, we will get to this. I will send the link here, link to the chat, so you can follow along. But basically this is like the basic like draft of the whole request thingy. Let's show it here. Yeah, okay. So you go to that link, and then what I want you to do is you can actually fork it. Hopefully you guys already have an account, okay? An account, and so you have your web open, or your application open. Yeah. So what I want you to do is I want you to can I click on this? Okay, I want you to fork this. So click on the triple dot, the basics of API. You click on create a fork. Okay. So I just click. I mean, I already have it, but yeah. So once you have this, then you can change the fork name. Let's say this is your API 101 workshop. Okay. Then you just fork the collections. Once it's forked, it will be in your own instance, your own workspace. So yeah, I'll just show you the process of it. Yeah. So the whole chunk will be on your instance here. Basic of API. Yeah. Is everything okay? If someone already like you already fork it, you already have your own instance, you can give me okay, yeah, alright, thumbs up, good. Okay. Maybe I will just wait for like 2 minutes in case someone haven't have the account, haven't have everything, then yeah, you can go with it. Alright. So at the meantime, maybe you can ask me any questions if you have, so I can address accordingly. I think we will resume around 8:55 for the progress. Yeah. Hopefully everything is clear on the theory end, because we are going to the hands-on practical part. Okay. Okay, I'll just wait until 8:55. Okay. Okay, got it. So this is the URL that we are going to play with, that is developed by Postman. So we are going to play with this API today. I just shared it here. Okay, it's 8:55. Right, let's go. So if it's too fast, remember, let me know so I can slow down a bit. So this is the API we are going to use today. I guess here, okay, add your URL here. Okay, so with the API that I pasted for you just now, we put it in a GET request. Okay, so break down whatever a theory we've gone through just now. This is the protocol, and this is the host, and we don't have a path yet. So when I trigger this, I don't think that's a result coming back to you because it's hello world. So it's working. The API is actually deployed. So you can actually see he returned you a hello world and the status 200 is okay. Yeah. Okay. And we are going to play with, I guess we can go with the book. Okay. Because there are 3 paths that is available for us to play with. I mean, after the workshop, you can actually play with the other one. So for this end, we are going to play with the book. So I'll show you. I come back here. Okay, go back to your request. Place your path, the book path. Okay, I'm going to send it. And you can see here, written me with one of the book, which is by J.K. Rowling, with a link and the book name. Okay. So this is basically how, like, for example, if you are building a library application, right? You want the user to, when the user trigger the website URL, and you want something to run behind to get the boot request, the boot data from the database. So that is where API comes. So eventually, assume that you are using this API for your development, right? You can actually get this and place it in your front end, which is the interface for the user to see the book. Yeah, so this is just some ideas. So this is basically the GET request, and you can see the path here. There's a path. Okay. Hopefully everything is okay as of now. Okay, the GET request. Maybe you can give me a thumbs up or something. Okay, cool. Right. So, okay. So the GET request is this, and let's move on to touch on if I wanted to get a specific book. Okay, I'm not sure, do they include in here? Yeah, I guess this is just the basics that, yeah, real complete documentation, so you can build the whole thing. Okay, yeah, the path, the book API, I guess. Okay, so if I want to have a specific one, I actually created already, like, the whole thing here. I'm not sure. I think it's here. Yeah, the book with the specific ID. Okay, so maybe we can go with, let's open a new request. Okay, a new request, add request, and this one we will go with get book with specific ID. Okay, and then this one we rename it to get one book. Okay, and one thing that I realized is that we actually needed to copy the whole thing here again, right? And okay, it's okay. I will show you, like, if you wanted to get a specific book first. Assuming that, I assume that if we have like 6, okay. Okay. So when I put, oh, book not found, so 6 is not available. Just now the book ID is 4, so 4 should be here. Yeah. So when I trigger 4, he will just give me the 4, right? If you realize that just now, when we trigger only the book, he will return it in a array form, meaning that you can have more than one. But when I get a specific ID, it will just return me with one JSON value. Okay. And okay, I wanted to show you one good thing about Postman. So what I mentioned just now is that you actually needed to copy and paste the whole thing again, right? So what we can do here, I want you to copy this. Okay. Copy the URL. Go to your collections. Okay. Collections. Click on the variable. Okay. And I want you to add a new one. Let's call it base URL. Okay. And we'll put initial value of this and the current value as well. Okay. And save it. So Control S or Command S according to your device. So once you save this, you will have a base URL here in the variable. This is very, very useful. I will explain. Yeah, I'll explain why. Okay. So if let's say this is your deployed URL, and sometimes you wanted to change a bit of the code of your API code, and you want it to change to your local host, you can actually just change here. So you don't need to go to one file and another file to change it. Okay. So once this is done, you will have a variable name based URL that you can apply here. Okay. So how do we put a variable? I want you to remove the one just now, and we put a double curly bracket. And you can see here are some examples that you can use for your URL. But in this case, we are using our own custom base URL variable. And when you hover to it, you can see the value is this. So with this being said, meaning that for the next and the third everything, I just need to put this thing. I don't need to remember my whole API link. Yeah, the URL, I don't need to remember the whole thing. I can just use a variable. And I send it again, eventually I'll get the same thing. Yeah. So it's very efficient. And also, one more thing that I wanted to show here is that because normally all of these IDs, it's not like the path. The path is actually something that you can't change. It must be the same, right? Like /home, I wanted to go to the page of the home page. /profile is my own profile. So this stuff is not going to change. But let's say you are going to /profile or like /user with the user ID behind, like for example here the book ID, and it's going to change according to different user ID, right? So what we can do here, put a what is this called? The two dot, I don't know. So once you put this, you can see down there here, it's called path variables. Okay, and this we oftenly use it for dynamic path variables. For example, the ID that is going to change all the time, or like picture with the UUID that's going to change all the time. So not like change all the time, it's like change according to the specific record you want, right? So I just put the 4 here, and the ID will be replaced. And once I send, I will get the same thing as well, because it's just replacing the ID with a dynamic value that we set here. Okay. Yeah, I hope everything is clear as of now. Yeah. Okay. Right, cool. Okay. Right, so we have the get one boot and a get boot with specific ID. So this is get request. And the next things we are going to touch is let's go with a post request. Okay. So I want you to add a request, or I think that we can duplicate it. So it'll be more faster. Yeah. So you duplicate it, go back. Let's rename this to update, add book. Okay. And since this is a post request, oh, I forgot to save it. That's why when I clone it, okay, let's delete it again. Okay, so I want to show you like everything is very fast and very efficient when you're using Postman to test your API URL and stuff. Okay, so I want you to duplicate. Remember to save it. Okay, so once you save it, duplicate, you actually get the whole thing that you have already. Just that you need to change the name to add boot. And this one, we are not going to create the ID. The ID will be created for us. So yeah, okay. And add boot, we are adding a new record. So it will be a post request. Okay, post request. And here is the place that we actually needed to put the values that we wanted to add, right? And like what I mentioned, we needed to put something in our request body. Okay, and how do we work with it? Yeah, the request body. Yeah, I'm using JSON here. This is the example. Okay, so click on body, click on raw, right? And change this text to JSON. So JSON is, I think it's JavaScript object notation. Yeah. So this is basically a JavaScript object. You can assume it as so. And you can change the author according to what you want. Like for example, I want the author to be my name, and the boot name maybe API 101, I guess. And link, I'll just simply put a link. Yeah, you can just simply put a link. Then once this is being set, so the structure must be the same. You will need an author, you need a boot name, and you need a link. Okay, and save it. Now we are going to send our post request. So once that is done, you can see 201, 201. Just now when we call the get request is 200 because everything is okay. And 201 is basically creating a new record. So once everything is good, it will send you back with a 201 saying that created. And you can see here, this is the created result, where I have my author name, my book name, my link that I have previously, right? And with the ID that just created for me, 379. Okay? I think you guys will have different ID as well. And just to show you that this record actually exists in your database already. Okay, so mine is 379. I just change the value in my get book with specific ID and put a send. Yeah, you can see I get the exact record I want. Okay, so everything is pretty convenient, and the database is very fast as well. So yeah. Okay, as of now, is everything clear? So the post request, the get request, and we are going to task the put patch request and the delete request. Okay, cool. Right. So next, we are going to go with the update request. This can be put or patch, but I think the better standard, like normally when we update request, most likely we will use put. Okay. So yeah, I don't want to touch too much on the technical end because I scared that some of participants, maybe they are very new to computer science. So yeah, I'll just touch briefly, I guess. So update the book. Okay, update the book. And what we wanted to do here, change this to put. And in this end, we actually needed to change the body as well, because now we wanted to change the value that we have previously. And eventually we need the ID as well. Okay. Yeah, let me just get this. Okay. So the ID 378 is the one I tested just now. So now it's 379. Mine is 379. I'm not sure what is the one you guys have, but eventually you can have the ID you created. And since it's a update the boot information, so for the author, the boot name, the link, if you want to change, you can change anything you want, right? And let's say I just wanted to make it to API 102, I guess. Yeah. So this will be this book request that I created just now. It will be updated. The boot name will be updated to 102 after I trigger this. Okay. I just run the request. So remember, it's a put request because I wanted to update something. And yeah. So he says that no content, but everything is, you can see the server successfully processed the request, but it's not returning any content, meaning that the developer that developed this URL, when he's doing the update API, he didn't return anything, just that the stuff is being updated behind already. So just to show you that everything is actually working, I go back here, my get book with specific ID 379, and send. You can see it's 102 now. Okay, so this is put request, post request, get request. Okay, and now moving on to our last request, which is delete. Okay, so for delete request, yeah, I think I will just duplicate it. Okay. Duplicate, and the last one, we are going to delete our book. So delete book, and for the method, we need to change it to delete, of course. Okay, and if I'm not wrong, this one I needed to get the ID. Yeah. So dynamic path ID. Okay. For this workshop, we are not touching any query, but basically query is like the question mark. Yeah, you can see once I put question mark, it actually generate a query for me, everything. Like for example, name equals vending. Yeah, so it's this is how query path works. If you notice clearly, like on all of the URL trigger, you can actually see a lot of query path, especially when you are sharing links from different social media. Yeah. So the ID here, okay, the ID, and I don't need a body because I'm deleting my request. Okay, so remove the body that you have and click on none. Or you don't want to remove, it's okay. You just click on none. Yeah, and save it. Yeah. So once you have this, the ID, put the ID that you have. 379 is mine. Okay. Hopefully everything is okay. Then is it too fast? This is like our last request that we are going to work on. So okay, I guess it's okay. All right. So back here, I'm going to delete my book ID, the book with the ID of 379. So I put send. Oh, internal server error. I think someone helped me to delete my 379, I guess. I'm not sure who, but okay. Wait, wait, did I get it correctly? Wait, the book with the ID, enter the book, ID deleted. Let me see. It should. Yeah, I think someone helped me to delete. Let me try to get it again. Yeah, someone helped me to delete my 379. Okay, so I will just create one quick one before someone help me to delete. Okay, 391. So I come back here, 391, and send. Oh wait, someone help me to delete again. Okay, anyways, because if someone didn't help me to delete, you can actually see the, yeah, someone help me to delete. Because when the boot is already deleted, you will get a 404 not found. Like normally when you go to a page that you don't have authorized or you can't see, or the page is already deleted, most likely you will get 404. This is very common one. And 500 internal server error is meaning that the developer that developed this API didn't implement any try catch. So when in this case my ID can't be found, right? So the try catch is not there. This will cause the code behind to cause the internal server to be breaking down. Yeah. So generate a yeah, someone help me to delete. But eventually, if you do on your own, you can actually see the delete will show you successful at the first time, and the second time it will be internal server error. So to show you that it's actually deleted, yeah, you can actually trigger here using the ID you have, and it will show you the boot not found. Okay. Okay. So is the technical and okay, because the hands-on is just as short as that. If you guys wanted to know more about like intermediate, I might have a follow-up session, uh upcoming session when I'm available, then I will do it. So anyways, okay, that's the follow along. So hope that you know what is API and how things actually works in API. What is the address, the path, query parameters, all of these things, the body. Okay, so all right. So for the recap, okay, you learn methods, get, post, put, delete, which is the one we use today, addresses, which is the one that have the protocol, okay, HTTPS, and the host www.space.com, okay, and then parameters, okay, parameters. Today we only touched on the path parameters, but we didn't touch on the query. So yeah, and authorization we didn't touch today as well, but I kind of show you just now. So this is where you can actually set, like, okay, no authentication, this API doesn't need any, okay, or okay, there's an API key that I needed to put, like let's say the API key, I name it as API key, then the value, okay, something, then when you send it, it will be okay. Then barrier token, JWT barrier, of these things. Okay. Yeah. So basically, this is where you can set authorization and the body data, which is where you place the body data of your request, and there will be a body data that returns to you. Okay. So this is basically how API works and stuff. All right. So just to share more about Postman, you can actually get a student expert certification through their official learning pathway. So I just show you share the link. I will just share the link to the chat. Postman student expert. So just go through the course and complete it. The course is like half technical, half. Let me see. I think this is this the one? Half technical, half theory. So if you didn't do the technical part, the hands-on part, you can't actually get a certification. Yeah. Apply to be, yeah. Let's share this in the chat. So once you've done this course, right, you can get a Postman certification, and you can share it to LinkedIn or wherever you want. Okay. Right. So next, okay. Yeah, Postman student expert. Yeah. Yeah, I already shared the link. So okay. Okay, so to win the amazing strikes, so from what I see today, I think it's around plus minus 30 plus participants. So most likely I can request from Postman around one or two winners that will actually get strike kits delivered from Postman HQ to your location. Okay, so to do that, remember just now I mentioned that keep note on my Twitter username. So just share whatever you learned today and hashtag Postman student, and also tag me so I can get notified that you already done it, and I will run a lucky draw for two winners for this. Yeah. So yeah, Twitter hashtag and also tag me. Okay, so it's pretty easy. And okay, before we end, okay, we have the resource that you can learn more about Postman, the learning.postman.com, explore.postman.com, and also community.postman.com for the forum, API network, learning center. Okay, and so if you like this session, okay, you can give me a feedback. Then if the feedback is, everything is okay, then yeah, maybe I can plan with another one. And if there are improvement that is needed, you can mention in the feedback form and let me know. So for the next event, I can make it better. Yeah. And yeah, back to Q&A. Is there any like questions that you wanted to raise up? I forget to do a slide though. Oh, can I have the recording? Yeah, sure. No worries. Sure. I will send it through email. By learning Postman, what can we do in the future and career-wise? Okay, future, right? Postman, since you can test the API, definitely, if you are working for a software development company, let's say you are working as a system tester, most likely they will be using Postman. Yeah, most of the time. Yeah, so it's pretty good, okay, because you can test it in a user interface that you can see. And also one more thing is that, let's say you are doing like a full stack software developer in a SME, most likely they will ask you to do the system testing as well if they don't have a system tester. So once you master the skill of using Postman, I would say that is very useful for you to do like both. Okay, most likely if you are a system tester or QA engineer, or you are the software developer in a SME, yeah, most likely you will task Postman. So yeah, I would say that's the take for me. Is Postman applicable for mobile app? Definitely, because mobile app, I'm not sure, are you familiar with mobile app development? Because for mobile app development, you actually needed to code the front end, right? The front end is the user interface that the user will see. And by having the front end, what is running behind, definitely you need to use the API. So the API will contact with your user interface to show the user with all of the details. And by saying that, where Postman can come into place is when you are developing the mobile app, the backend meaning the API that you have, like for example, user login, you will return the token, or for example, user create a new record, you need the API, the post request, and you can actually test the developed backend on Postman. Yeah. So I hope that's answered the question. Yeah, is there any more questions? So far I only get two. Yeah, right. So I guess that's all for the agenda today. And this is the feedback form. Okay, you can leave any feedback that you think it will be good for me to like plan for the next events, or some opinions that you thought of. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's all for the session today, and I will stop the recording and I will share it to all of you. And remember, for the swags, remember to post in Twitter, tag me, hashtag Postman Student, and by tomorrow, I will send the lucky draw, like the what's that called? Wheel of Names. Okay, Wheel of Names recording for the lucky winner, and also the recordings of this session. Okay, and also the slides if you want to see. Okay, right. Thank you. Enjoy your night.